Dear brothers and sisters, the gospel reading of today is very important to us as it was important to the apostles who were with Jesus on the holy mountain. Mountain, why? Because for the Jews, the mountain became a place of meeting between God and his people, the people of Israel. Therefore, Jesus took these people to the mountain. Last Sunday, we read about Jesus on the mountain where he was tempted by the devil. Today, the mountain, the meeting place, became a place where he chose to do something very important. He wanted to reveal his nature, his glory to the disciples so that the scandal of the crucifixion would not become a barrier in their faith. He wanted them to see his glory so that when they would afterwards see him tortured, see him betrayed and tortured and unjustly condemned, and finally endure the cruelty, the worst cruelty the human mind can construe, they will not lose their faith. Therefore, he brought them to the mountain, and the strange things began to happen. First, there was this cloud that covered the mountain. We remember when Moses received the law, there was also a cloud that covered the mountain. When the spirit of Moses was shared to the 72, there was also the cloud that covered. So now, Jesus Christ, the Lord of the apostles, the fulfillment of everything in the Old Testament, wanted to bring these apostles, who themselves were Jews and Hebrews, to this holy mountain so that they would see the Old Testament fulfilled and the New Testament launched. He wanted them to see him in his glory, so that the torture of the crucifixion would not be a barrier. He wanted them to know him. St. Paul wrote, all I want is to know Christ and the power of his resurrection. These three apostles knew Christ intimately, as St. Peter witnessed in his letter. He said, I was with him on the holy mountain when he was transformed, and the voice of the Father was heard, testifying and telling us that this is my son, the beloved. My favor rests on him, and then listen to him. The difference between the voice of the Father when Jesus was baptized in the river Jordan and the voice of the Father here is that in this case, in this transfiguration on the mountain, there was a command: listen to him. And when we listen to Jesus, what do we learn? In fact, the entire New Testament is like listening to Jesus endlessly. But the summary of everything can be like this. What we read in John chapter 13, if we read from verse 33 to 35. This is my commandment. This is the new commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. To love one another is already in the Old Testament. You must love your neighbor as yourself. But the difference between that old law of love and the new one is that since we are imperfect, since some people don't even love themselves, telling them to love other people as they love themselves will be to multiply frustration. But Jesus stands before us and says, this is how you love. As I have loved you, that is how you love others. Question: how did Jesus love us? Jesus loved us so much, as he tells Nicodemus in John chapter 3, if we read from verse 16. This is how much God loves the world, that he gave his only Son, so that whoever believes in him may not perish, but have everlasting life. If we ask Jesus, how much did you love us? Or instead, how much do you love us? He will point at himself on the crucifix. He will point at the cross and say, this is how much I love you. I gave my life for you. What do? We ask him about the people whom we want to love, who prove to be so undeserving of our love. Again, he will point at the cross and say, well, when I was on the cross, I prayed for my persecutors. I asked for forgiveness for those who killed me. I gave forgiveness to those who betrayed me. I prayed like this, Father, forgive them, they do not know what they are doing. That is how you love other people. As I have loved you, so must you love others. Greater love does not exist than one gives his life for his friends. You are my friends, and I have loved you with all my love. Therefore, love one another. You are imperfect, I know that. But because you are imperfect, your love must be forgiving love, just as my love for you implies forgiveness. For whenever God looks at us, who are so undeserving of his love, he can only love us by forgiving us and forgive us by loving us. And because Jesus has loved us so much, when God the Father looks at us, people ask, why does God not get angry with us? Because when he is about to get angry, he sees the face of his dying son on the cross and he forgives us because we have received forgiveness through his death on the cross. I can continue, but I prefer that when we go home today, that we sit down and meditate honestly on this piece we have read, this Bible passage, and listen again to the voice of God telling us, this is my son, the beloved, listen to him. Many voices attract our attention in this modern world. Just open your Facebook and the 1,001 voices are asking for endorsement or whatever. But if we tune down, as the Pope has said, that we should, from time to time, close our mobile phone in order to hear the voice of God. Let us meditate on this passage and let us receive that grace of Jesus. Because remember, if you are asking me, how can I love somebody who is undeserving? I refer you to Matthew, the same Matthew's Gospel, chapter 25, from verse 31, where Jesus tells us that he is one with everybody. In other words, when somebody offends you and you want to get very angry and you don't want to forgive, remember that Jesus is present in that person who has offended you. I was preaching retreat for the sisters, and I was talking about the idea of forgiving God when you think that God has offended you. If you cannot forgive me when I offend you, remember that Jesus is present in me. And because Jesus is present in me, the Jesus whom you are asking to forgive you deserves to be forgiven also. Let us love one another, because Jesus is present in the one who deserves our love.